Chinese factories can produce anything good in the world.
You can see in China, like all the market, high-end market, dominated by the foreign brand. I think it's time to build our own brand.
Hello and welcome to this edition of Crossover. I'm Ji Xiaojun.
And I'm Yi Shu, and we have a whole new look to our studio today.
Just
in fact, you have a whole new look.
Yeah, like the super light.
Yeah.
Well, basically, it's all a Chinese brand. It's all made in China.
Right. These brands are reflective of the new Chinese brand. China has always been known as this low-end, kind of cheap good manufacturer.
Seriously?
Yeah, come on, in the last few decades.
World factory.
But as manufacturing has slowly slowed down, what we're seeing is this emergence of very high-quality Chinese brands with great innovative designs.
Yeah, in other words, Chinese manufacturing in China is now going through this process of transforming and upgrading.
Right.
So today we are joined in the studio by two guests. To some extent, they represent, some of Chinese manufacturers or made in China or manufactured in China brands.
Right. I mean, the manufacturing sector is now looking to move up the value chain and create brands, and hence these business people are seeking an opportunity and looking at this opportunity to build their own brands. Welcome, Shu Wei and Andy.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
So we have glasses over here. We have
Trace.
Trades here. So who's this? Who?
All mixed up.
Now you actually you own this furniture brand, right?
Yes, 照做.
And
as eyewear and mice, the Kojito.
I'm actually representing your brand over here. So it's when we say made in China or manufacturing in China, we also say it's been going through this process of transforming, upgrading. Because you're actually in the industry, do you really feel this is what is going on with Chinese manufacturing?
I think so. And actually, I think there's kind of a, for a long time, people think China a warp factory. And even when we went to Dongguan is basically the largest, industry center for the furniture manufacturing.
Yes.
They even have a flag on the city, like, welcome to the world factory. So that's the positioning strategy of that city. But actually, when I talk with my foreign designers, because we have over 80 designers in Europe and America, and they told me Chinese factories can produce anything good in the world. So it's a different opinion. It's a different opinion. They think, we don't believe that Chinese factories can't produce anything in this world. So that's a different, ideas than totally different from what we heard in this country.
We hear you're new actually in this industry, in furniture.
Yes, just 2 years.
Just 2 years. Before that, you were in
internet and design. So it's basically the other end of this world, more like fancy.
So how did you see this opportunity?
What triggered the change?
Actually, I didn't starting from manufacturing side. I started to look at the consumers' demands because the consumers are shifting. So the demands last 2 decades. Chinese consumers always want something cheap, mass production, even not so good in terms of quality, but it's okay if it's cheap. But now I think these young consumers, especially born after 85, I guess, especially 1990s, and they have this strong demand for nice-looking, good quality, but affordable products.
We've heard this a lot, that Chinese consumers are now looking to, domestic Chinese consumers are looking for this now high-quality type of product, with the increase, in the development of this middle class.
Andy, do you also feel the need? And I mean, because you've been in this business for long.
Yes, I have been in this business for a long time, but in the past only for the overseas market, purely overseas market. But I see a strong growing demand.
When did you feel
just
that?
about 5 years ago.
5 years ago.
Before
2 years, 5 years.
Yes, but I started this brand 2 years ago.
Okay.
So why eyewear?
Eyewear because first of all, I know this industry very well. I know this whole supply chain in this industry for over 10 years. And also the 90% of the whole world eyewear are made in China. But unfortunately, we don't have really good brand in China. Oh, you can see in China, like all the market, high-end market dominated by the foreign brands. I think it's time to build our own brand.
What did you do 2 years ago? OEM.
It's OEM for OEM and ODM. Now it's OBM. It's my original brand.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes.
So both of you kind of came looking at this from a consumer demand point of view, and then just so happens that China is the world's factory, as you said, and so you can utilize that advantage to build your own brand.
So everyone is saying this is the time, to get into the market, and we play the game in a different way with our own brands. Are you only saying that, or do you feel this is really the time, and the market is responding in a positive way?
Yes.
Is it?
Yes.
Yeah, actually, I feel that, and like 5 years ago, I was pushed by many of my friends. Why don't you start your own brand? But that back then, I saw that market not ready. But sooner I realized the market is already ready, because why you can see the trend. Lots of people are not only buying in China, they are buying overseas. So those people in the past, like 5 or 10 years ago, they only go overseas to buy the big names brands. But now you can see people, they have developed their own taste. They go overseas, they buy the small designer brands, not necessarily big names. So that people actually really fast develop their own taste. I think that market is ready there.
But that's been the long controversy, right? Like, can China create a trusted brand? I'm looking at your products, and I'm looking at these pieces, and they're very, great design, really fashion forward. Great quality. How do those glasses feel?
Well, we have to tell the audience.
Yeah.
You're actually working together because these trays are originally designed for fruits, right? Not for But today you're working together now in our program.
But I mean, in terms of quality and material, I mean, this is really top notch. I mean, you're really going not only within China to find the best materials, but throughout the world to find the best materials and international talent. How does that make it a challenge for you? I mean, it must be a big challenge to find the best of the world and to convince your consumers that yes, even though you're a Chinese brand, you're reflecting something that is very international in terms of quality.
Yes.
How do you do that?
Okay, I want to share a story. I think not so serious, but it's interesting. So the first time I went to Sweden.
Nice. You're going to be a distraction this whole show, I can tell.
Go ahead.
Okay. So the first time I went to Europe to convince my designers to cooperate with me, because my designers are basically in Europe. So I went to Stockholm, and I went to visit CKR, Clayton Covestron, which is the top designers in the world. And I asked them if you want to cooperate with us, because they are kind of, quite famous, top 1, top 2 designers. But I think the answer was quite surprising. They didn't say, you are from China and we don't cooperate with Chinese companies. On the contrary, they said, copy is a general, issue for all the companies in the history. About 100 years ago, Germany, they copy. But now they are the best, manufacturing country in the world. And then Japan. Now it's China. When you copy and then you learn how to design, how to manufacture, and then you reach the point when your own domestic market growing up, and then you can create your own brand. So you can see the last 3 decades, the biggest brands basically came from Japan. So growing from the domestic market, then learn the design from the world and using the manufacturing capability of the domestic country. So that's basically what is going on in the history. This is natural.
Well, we have a clip of 造作 manufacturing. Let's take a look.
有的人愉悦于拥抱未来，造作在意于塑造未来。生活方式不应再由地图划分，已经见过了世界的广大，不必再复制另一个国家。中国制造经历了30年的工业洗礼，不应再代言劣质粗糙，成本雪薄不再是唯一优势。设计语言不应再满足于抄袭复刻。一个时代的审美力崛起，物质体察背后就是自主意志。美学作品不应再止步于财富特权，技术进步以渠道消解，将美与美的权利还给大众。自我表达不应再仅限于衣履箱包，从匮乏中走出的外显符号 现已回归家居器物自由主张。上个10年的特立独行，定义下个10年的正在流行。世界可以为中国设计，大师从纸面走入真实空间。国货可以品貌双全，生活方式离开财富符号，设计不再矜持寡淡，属于热烈的中国的，也属于丰富的人间。以精神的信仰造物，以物质挑剔创作。27个国家，82位设计大师，8省51个精工大厂，和你一起造作新生活。
So redefining China's manufacturing to create an incredible blockbuster brand. That's what you're trying to accomplish. You're using 27 countries to do that.
Yes.
How about you, Andy? How many countries are you using in terms of resources or talent?
I never thought of it that way. I always see the whole world is one piece.
It's global.
As necessary, we're working with different countries.
Find partners.
See,
in
you're
need.
being a distraction again. What are you doing here? You're
I'm
checking
trying the chairs. I'm just curious about, say, how much is...
Comfortable? Sit.
You
Go.
wanna-
Check it out. I'm wired
Yeah,
to a bunch
okay.
of things here.
How much does it cost?
$100 US. Less than 100, I guess.
100
Okay.
US dollars.
Yes, less than 100. The one you
That's
sit on,
fairly
freelance chair.
reasonable. And
That
this
one
one?
is exactly $100 US.
100
Yes.
US dollars.
Yes.
Okay.
Comfortable?
That's less.
Designed in
This is obviously
Italy.
more comfortable.
Prototype in Italy.
Yeah, what I'm saying is, I mean, when you say, I mean, it's great promo, your own voice, your own acting, great voice, and then great promo. The thing is, I mean, what do you think the trend is? It is. What do you think where we are in China's manufacturing, etc.? The customers, and what is the response like from them, from their side?
So actually, that video is for the 1-year anniversary of this company, Zaozuo.com. And in the same day when we released the movie, we also opened our showroom in Indigo. It's our first showroom. In the first day, we get more than 1,000 consumers, come to this really small showroom, 350 square meters. So it's super crowded. People are quite positive about our brand, and especially I was really touched. So one consumer wrote me on Weibo, the Chinese Twitter, talking about Zaozuo, and we were saying about made in China, Chinese brand, because we are the first company, saying that we are a Chinese brand. We are not, Italian brand or UK brand, because lots of companies did that in the last 2 decades, right?
Yeah.
Chinese companies.
To sell products.
Yeah, we are so proud. The consumers wrote to us. We are very supportive on that. We want to use Chinese brand.
So they're
this
also
is-
changing.
yeah.
Well, I was going to say,
Yeah.
I mean, this is very interesting because it seemed like in the last 10 years, people were really looking to the West for
Yes.
international
International brands.
brands, right?
Exactly.
Is there a shift in consumer behavior with this?
So Chinese
Do you
consumers,
think, Andy?
they're happy with Chinese brands so long as they're good. Is that the feedback you're getting?
Not necessarily. People are looking for new brands. Now,
New-
I think they developed. I think the keyword is confidence.
See.
They think they have developed the taste and the capability
The
to
confidence
carry
in their own
quality.
tastes.
So
Yes.
their own taste. They
I
are
think
looking for
that's-
high quality, so not necessarily Chinese brand or
Right.
Western brand. But in the past, the only available brands are Western brands.
So it's
So
more about
now
the
time,
gap
yeah.
of information,
Right.
I guess, in the past decade.
But you're right. I think you said a key word, confidence. So
Yeah.
Chinese consumers now have the confidence to know what is good and high quality.
Yes.
Yeah.
And wear it without needing the label behind them. All right. Well, when we come back, we're going to talk more about the transformation of China's manufacturing and the transformation of the Chinese consumer. Please stay tuned.
The real big family, big middle class, just the young from 28 to 35.
Target clients are a little bit more higher.
I have my full respect to IKEA.
IKEA, you're good, but no. And welcome back to Crossover. Let's continue our discussion about this new trend in Chinese manufacturing. So, who are you actually targeting? When we say, Chinese, we have a larger middle class, did you actually feel it? And who are you targeting? When you decide your pricing strategy, who do you have in mind?
The young middle class. By young middle class, I'm not talking about the real big family, big middle class, just the young from 28 to 35. In the first tier cities, young people with college education, with a decent job in the city.
So once again, it's more about their taste. It's more about this younger generation who have seen really the world and they know what they're looking for.
Yes.
You?
Yes, same thing. Probably we target clients a little bit more higher for the people that already has at least 5 years of experience
They have
buying
more
high
disposable
price,
income.
price, high quality,
Right.
high price products.
How do you distinguish yourself from, it's all about marketing and brand awareness, right? How do you distinguish yourself from products that are already on the market and brands that are already on the market? I'm thinking IKEA. I know IKEA is very popular with the young middle class. In terms of glasses, well, here in China, it's a little... The eyewear market is a little bit fragmented.
It's very fragmented.
Let's start with you. How do you distinguish yourself from a big brand, powerhouse brand like IKEA?
Actually, we didn't see IKEA as a competitor because we have different,
Say that again. Say that again.
That's what you're saying.
It's always important to find your own position.
I mean, I have my full respect to IKEA. It's one of the most
IKEA, you're good, but no.
IKEA is really a great company, in terms of manufacturing and the service and everything.
But they're
IKEA,
extremely successful now in China.
Yes. They are extremely successful in the world.
But you need to win customers from them to you,
Actually,
right?
our consumers is actually not IKEA consumers,
Okay.
basically. There's an overlap, but not so big. IKEA is more to the basic preliminary demand for the housing, apartment decorations. And for us, it's more like young middle class.
I still shop at IKEA.
So you're not a customer.
You're just shop for accessories.
Right,
I mean,
not
for
furniture.
furniture.
Absolutely.
Yes,
You don't know-
Yes.
I shop for napkins.
Yeah. You don't know your own taste.
Yeah. So for Zhaozuo, it's like, especially our major products are furniture, so the big items. So we want to create a really nice quality, nice design for the middle class, which can last for at least 5 to 10 years, not the, transitional products for the
It's
first rental house.
sophisticated.
Yes, it's more
A
sophisticated. Yes,
consumer.
design oriented.
Right.
Yeah.
Who do you compete with?
Interesting is about eyewear. In eyewear, even we hear a lot of the name of the glasses. Actually, that's not brand. You know what? The old brand are owned by 2 or 3 companies.
Yes.
So not
Heard
necessarily owned by your own designers. So you can see, even we buy glasses every year, but that's not real eyewear brand. We all know about the optical store's name, not brand name. People don't care.
So tell us the secret behind that. These, in terms of eyewear, being owned by just 2 or 3 companies. They license the brand. They license that fashion label. So Fendi or Gucci.
Yes.
Is that what's happening?
Yes, that's the exact same thing. That's why when you look at the frames, the glasses, you can see they all look like quite similar.
Yes.
No big changes. Maybe they do some different patterns or change the tempo, like arm a little bit. But overall, I see it's very boring. It's a conservative industry.
Right.
So that's why we want to do something new to change that industry.
Yeah, I mean, interesting, talking about eyewear, because a few years ago I saw actually a TV documentary or series reports about how, the margin, the profit margin is huge in the eyewear industry, where a very big part of that was actually taken by, the channels or the players in the middle, from the factory to the end consumers, and lots of them can be avoided if you have a direct link from the factory and to the end users. So according to that report, to that documentary, there isn't actually much technology involved. It's quite simple, and everything is actually straightforward.
Right.
You're basically attaching too much actually margin of your profit in the process. What do you say?
I think that first of all, that's a great misunderstanding as a big trap for everyone, because seeing as a very profit margin, that means that basically scares a new entrants. So every new entrant, they can only compete on low price products.
Right.
Once you want to make a price higher, people are saying you're making too much money out of it.
You know what? It's always easier to say to talk about theories, say, yeah, we think the market is ready, we think China is ready for this new level of China's manufacturing. But, I mean, when we talk about the chain, you as the brand owner, you think you're ready. When you talk to the designers in Europe, they think China is ready. But in process, in realizing, the mission, what about your partners in China, say factories in China, or say the channels, distributors? Do you think they are ready to accept a totally Chinese new brand? What do you think?
So let me talk about the factories. I think that's more easier.
Especially furniture.
Yes. Furniture is one of the most complicated industry in terms of manufacturing because we are using like more than 100 different materials, like plastic, metal, wood. So different materials requires different factories. So we cooperate with more than 50 factories. That's a lot of, partners to work with.
50?
50. 50.
Wow.
Yeah, it's a huge amount of factories. And they spread all over the country, like in North China and East China and South China. So we have different teams working in different cities. So that, so I think the first time when we talk to the factories, we are nobody. We don't have any kind of things to prove us we can sell the products.
Exactly. Are they willing to take your orders?
They are not. They are not. And you think you are an online company, especially online company, for them is like, the other end of this world.
Right, you're a very, very small fish.
Yes, very small. And these factories are like, we can try a little bit because we are lucky because the industry is going down. The industry is going down, so we are on the right timing.
They're looking inside, at least.
Yes, right. But they have no idea because when it comes to e-commerce is kind of a really a both positive thing and negative thing for the factories. Positive means you can get this bridge from factory to the consumers. But in the other end, e-commerce is all about pricing, compare the price. So the high-end factories, it's really difficult for them to survive. There's no brand to package their quality to help them to build this trust with consumers.
Right.
So we came to them and we say like, we want to do this, and if you want to try with us, try it. But they don't have other choice started. And then 1 year later, we proved in this market our volume.
What do you mean they didn't have another choice? Because manufacturing was decreasing.
The manufacturing is going down.
Yeah.
And
business was no good.
Yes, yes, in the last few years.
Based on what I saw in Guangdong, lots of big factories, who produce cheap, mass volume, lower end products. Lots of factories are closing.
Right, it is true. Right.
The rest of the factories who survived are very interesting, small, like 500 people, very high scales, very good machine, and they can produce really high quality goods in a small batch. And then we found them, we cooperate with them. And they also want to look at the domestic market, and they don't want to be one of these e-commerce priceless products.
Right.
So we found these partners. We're lucky.
How much did you have to change their way of operating and manufacturing in terms of their mindset?
They are actually quite good.
Oh, they're already quite good, right?
Yes.
They were a good match already for you. Was that your same experience, Andy?
Actually, is in global scale, it's very good. Because for our eyewears, we work with all different countries, suppliers.
So factories might be in China or in a different country?
Yes, Italy, France, and Germany, and China. But somehow, I feel like European factories are more snobbish and not very responsive. But China is working really hard. That's amazing. I think it's a big misunderstanding about Chinese factories. It's really, they're willing to change. They're willing to transform themselves or upgrading themselves. When we talk to them, once they understand, they act really fast, then deliver results.
I mean, the factories in China, they are also now to think about making some changes, because before, if they rely so much on exports and it's all designed and controlled by
those were like commodity
brands.
goods, right?
Yes,
in the past.
And then when the world economy is having some trouble, then probably they will be affected very directly and instantly.
Yes.
Well, at the same time, I guess starting from them, they start to look at the domestic market. And it seems when something is going wrong with the international market, probably. At least you have something within your own country.
And with this growing middle class, I think this is where we see the growing demand. It seems like all those success factors are there. You have these factories who are now very willing to work with and give a shot at these types of opportunities. You have this growing consumer, sophisticated consumer, like you said, and you have like the world who's kind of willing to now work and partner with brands like yours. So what is the greatest challenge that you're facing? No challenges?
For every business, there are tons of challenges, but how you solve the problem. I think the first one is the communication things.
Communication
with about the whole supply chain or value chain, about the customer demands and what it is to do when you talk to factories. Because most factories over in the past 30 years, Chinese factories are set up to make mass production. And low price. They are far away from the customers. They don't know. They never care about what the customer need because they are just do what they are told to do. They are focused on the export, overseas market. There's no domestic market.
They produce the goods, they export them.
So they don't care. But now we are telling them, even they can fear the changes, but they can understand, but they can't understand. So you have to communicate.
So communication and coordination is difficult.
How difficult it is now these days to build up your own brand?
Yeah, marketing brand awareness.
Build on your own brand, almost like mission impossible.
Even today?
Even today.
It seems you're confident.
I'm confident because I think because it's a mission impossible. We can do this, so I'm confident.
It's impossible but doable.
It's doable. Depends how you see the market. Because also, most people
it's impossible, but you're optimistic.
Yeah, very optimistic because all my competitors are targeting on the low end. Customers. I think, but China has changed a lot. People have more money to spend, so they're looking for good quality, not necessarily big name brands. And brand is about promise. It depends on if you can deliver on your promise. I think we can do that. We can take times. First of all, it takes a long time to build promise, trust. So that's what we are waiting to do. We are committed to doing that.
You have a background in supply chain, so I think this coordination and communication was probably a little bit more easy for you. What about for you? 50 factories. Your background was not in supply chain. Yes, it was
internet and design.
Right. So, which aspect has been more of a challenge for you and for your company?
For me, actually, supply chain is not a challenge. It has not been a challenge. It was. Okay. In the first month, I went to around like 200 factories already. So I visited lots. Walking on my high heels, and then I changed my shoes later. So it's like.
And you're now back to high heels.
So that means the situation must be better. Okay. So, but for me, the largest challenges we have now in China is the patience. Because brands.
Patience from the customers or from the factories?
All the aspects like factories and investors, consumers, the patience is a really important issue in China because Chinese are more like, eager to finish something in a very short period.
We want to see the effect, the results.
Yes. For example, the prototyping, the R&D part. Lots of people think the furniture industry is all about design and factory. Actually, what we have missed, the missing part in China is not design or factory, it's the R&D part. How to standardize the design, how to industrialize the design into a really, industry product, not just, handcrafts.
But as the owner, are you willing, do you have the patience? And
I have
are you willing to, wait until the product is perfect and out?
Yes, I'm doing that. And so it's basically what we have invested. We invested a lot on the R&D part. We have, the whole company is around more than 100 people. We have 50% of them are in R&D role. So it's basically we spend half of our human, our manpower, and also half of our investments on R&D. That's why we put our R&D center in Italy as well. We have a studio there, and we have an engineer with more than 55 years experience working on industrialization, which is not so significant for the consumers, but which is very important for the product quality.
Well, we could say in China, very few.
Very few.
We're going to be talking about that in our next segment. When we come back, we're going to be joined by one additional guest to talk more about the transformation of China's manufacturing. Please stay tuned.
I think the value of this business model is not only about connect manufacturing, bypass the channels, but more about building a Chinese brand.
You're successful too.
Wow.
I think that's good.
It is,
Good
yeah.
promotion for us.
And welcome back to Crossover. Today we're talking about manufactured in China, but stage number 2.
And we're wearing cool shades. Although I'm not wearing them.
Bring it with all these new mugs. And
So
we're joined
now-
by a new guest.
Yes, Veronique from BCG. So Veronique, I know you specialize, Boston Consulting Group, I know you specialize in retail and consumer goods.
Right.
You've been with BCG for over a decade now. How do you see, this discussion that we've been having
yes.
over the last
Yeah, but now they're getting nervous because
Yes.
they say whatever they want to say. Party observer, tell us the truth.
Yes.
What do you think of what they've just said?
Yeah, so my understanding for Zhao Zuo and Cogido's business model is it's not only a middleman to connect the manufacturers to consumers, which I think also has its value to bypass some unnecessary channel margins. But I think the more important thing is this business model actually connect the world-class design to Chinese consumers. And we do see an increasing trend for Chinese consumers looking for more diverse and more sophisticated products with good qualities, but still under affordable price.
What do you think of their efforts in building up their own brands?
Yeah, I think that's exactly the point I want to make. I think the value of this business model is not only about connect manufacturing, bypass the channels, but more about building a Chinese brand.
Is this a trend that you're seeing here in China? I mean, I think as part of Boston Consulting Group, you probably have a lot of clients that are established brands.
Yes.
Are you seeing a big trend with these emerging Chinese brands coming and populating the market?
Yes, it happens across different categories. In BCG, we did a consumer sentiment check every year, and we asked these questions about consumers' preference about local brands versus international brands. And in the recent years, we see an increasing preference for local brands across different categories.
This is back to what we were talking about in the second segment, the pride. Like Chinese consumers are not only becoming more sophisticated, but when they see a high-quality Chinese brand, they have pride in purchasing it and showing it to their
confidence in
peers.
their own
Yes,
taste, yeah.
Absolutely.
I mean, both of them have talked about the readiness, and they feel that the market is ready, they feel the partners are ready, but at the same time, they feel there's the problem of communication from different aspects. What do you think? Do you think China is ready for this new trend of having our own brands, good quality, but not necessarily what we know as the international brands?
Yeah, I think that the demand side is more or less ready. BCG just did a study along with Ali Research Centers to forecast the private consumption in the next 5 years. And we identify 4 driving forces. First is upper middle class and affluent, which is household income, disposable household income above 12,000 RMB per month. The second one is young generation, post-80s.
So their customers.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And the third one is service. The fourth one is e-commerce, very relevant to your business models here. And by 2020, there will be 100 million upper middle class and affluent consumers in China. Think about it. It's almost the size of European countries, right?
That's consuming power.
You're really
consumer
placing
power.
a bet on the Chinese consumer, and it's a good bet.
Right.
Let's
And-
talk.
Sorry, and just another note is for the young generations, we find that they are much more brand sophisticated.
Right.
For example, for skincare, if you ask them, on top of their mind, they know 20 brands. And for US consumers, they can only tell probably 10 to 12. So
Do they have these superstitions here about international brands? All these big brands that you can always find at any international airports.
I think international brands still has certain brand premium in certain categories.
With the younger generation.
With
of
the younger
consumers,
generations. But what happens with this group of consumers, they are willing to make their own choice.
See, once again, the confidence.
Yeah,
Right,
and I
right.
want to take this one step further because both Andy and Shuwei have said that they want to take their product, and if you're not already, taking it into international markets. So what is it going to take to compete against these international brands on their turf? What do you think?
I think it will be, it's not an easy task for sure. So if we look at the history, even for those Japanese or Korean brands, it takes them 30 years or so to build an international presence and a brand trust. So I think it takes time to build a brand trust with a new group of consumers.
Well, right. I mean, if you look at Lenovo, which is one of probably the most prominent Chinese brand, it virtually took them, acquiring IBM and setting up 2 headquarters, to really set a footprint into the international markets.
Right, but the good thing is we have these pioneers, right? We have
Right.
Lenovo, we have Huawei, and even today they are actually upgrading their products and brands in international markets. Huawei is having Rongyao premium product segments.
And also,
Right.
the international market is not always just the U.S. and Europe. It's also these emerging markets, Southeast Asia. There is actually a lot of opportunity, which I think is what
Right.
Xiaomi is doing, right? They're
Yeah.
really looking at emerging markets. But you guys are a little bit more high-end, so you probably will be going into Europe. You said you're going to be expanding to the U.S. next year.
Yes, we plan to do that, and even Europe. So it depends on the timing. And I think it's not actually our moves are not based on what we are going to do, be an international brand or not. We're thinking about, because the demands came from Europe and the US. We received lots of orders already, and they recognize our design because the wallpaper, one of the best design magazine, gave us 2 reports, and also the design, one of the largest design blog. And we have this recognition already in the designers community. Because we have this international community, we have the power. And also one of the special thing about, the very unique thing about furniture industry is that about 30% of its revenue came from architects and designers. That means the architects will buy your furniture directly for the hotels and the restaurants. And they have already known us, and they have this trust to our brands. So it's much easier for us to expand. It's a natural, it's a natural move for the demands.
Sure.
So, yeah.
How about for you, Andy, in terms of international expansion?
International, I think as long as we want to be a brand, it has to be global. And it's not an easy way, and takes many years to do that. You need a really strong commitment. I think we are ready to do that. And for instance, we are going to the UK by the end of this year. Next year, probably we'll go to France and the States. But I fully aware it takes a long time to do that.
So when you set up the brand, it was with that understanding that eventually, it would be a global brand, not just a Chinese brand.
Not just a local brand.
Right.
If it's a brand, it must be global. And also, before starting up this brand, I have worked already with over 20 countries in the past.
I'm sorry I have to drag you back again, say, to reality. It's all good, right? What you said is all good. What about Chinese consumers? It seems you'll have full confidence in Chinese new generation of consumers say they're willing to pay more for good quality products. What about this? I mean, this is good. This is good. But it's all open information. I can easily get hold of the design. I can even buy one mug like this. I can even buy one pair of these. And then next day, I can develop something similar, but maybe not as high quality as these are, but similar.
But maybe the consumer can't tell the difference.
Exactly, at much lower price.
Yes.
Well, we know, I mean, that's been flooding the Chinese marketplace, copycat designs, right?
Exactly. I mean, it might be a challenge or, risk-facing international brands, but at the same time, as a new brand, if you're doing great in the market, I guess the same risk is there.
Right. How do you deal with that risk?
Okay, so let's start in from the facts. So after we launched the first product, 3 months later, we found our copycats in the market, both online and offline.
Which means you're successful, right?
It is, right? They copycat you.
Now we have, because we have a WeChat group of the consumers. We have many WeChat groups, and these consumers.
Keep a WeChat group with your consumers.
Yes.
It could be a very huge,
It's
huge number.
many groups. So the consumers, they have a one special WeChat group, which means they are looking for, they voluntarily looking for copycats of 照做. And they call to the company every day.
All right. Okay.
You have spies through the marketplace.
Yes, it's very funny.
Spies.
It's very funny. But then, talking about this industry, I think furniture is like there's a lot of copycats of IKEA. But IKEA, still the largest company in this industry. Furniture is all about, first, trust. Second, it's a system. You have to buy the couch, you have to buy the bench, then the side table, then the sofa. You can't do everything. You can't copy everything in one small store. So it's all about the capital-intensive stuff. And also it's about the system. How do you develop the new products to fill the holes? So that's the idea of this industry. So you can copy like one bookshelf or one tree, it's okay, but you can't copy the whole system.
Right.
And then second thing is like furniture industry is all about, because it's a very big item. If you buy a sofa and you think it's a copycat, you want to throw it out, it will take you $100 to take it out.
Right.
Yes.
What do you mean take it out? To throw it away?
To throw it away.
Right.
Yes.
Okay.
So it's like $100. So that means when consumers are trying to buy a big stuff, they want to pay more for better quality.
Well, you want it to be durable, right? A sofa,
Yes.
you don't want to throw it away after 3 months. You want it to last you, 5 to 8 years or even longer. Right? Yeah.
Yes. So, and also furniture is all about touch and feel. So you can choose something looks similar, but it's not close. You don't need other people to say you're beautiful. You have to touch it and
But
feel
you've
it
only
every
been
day.
in existence for 2 years, so how can you ensure that your products are going to last 10 years?
Good one. We'll tell you in 8 years' time.
We are working on it because the company we started from an online team, but then we recruit all these traditional industry guys, which like over 15 years experience. They have the experience, and we have 100% quality control guys in the factory, one piece by one piece, 100% to screen all the products.
So, so you're not only backed by your company, you're backed by these factories who've been building for decades, right?
Yes, yes.
So I guess it's one, you have the full line. Second, you run very fast. The copycats, they won't actually be able to catch you. Third, high quality
always
control.
lag behind,
Yes,
right?
yes.
What about for you, Andy?
Add on her a point, I say also the different customers. I think China has changed. Before maybe we want to sell product to the old customers, but actually China has changed, become a very diverse market. So we target the clients who want to pay for good quality stuff. For our products, the copycat every day. We like for one product.
Remember before the show, we
like,
even compared two different pairs of your product. Not your one is truly your product, but the other one is a copy.
A copycat,
The
right?
copycat, and for one product easily we can in a month we can like last year we have one product came out in a month. There are over like 300, close to 400 copycats on the internet.
You're successful too.
Wow.
I think that's good.
It is,
good
yeah.
promotion for us. But, however, even most people they can tell the difference about the quality in the beginning, but when they use them, every product has a soul. You can feel it. And if you bad quality or bad plating, you can irritate your skin. So you can, after a few months later, they can tell, they need to pay for the good quality stuff. They come to us.
Well, and I can only imagine, that along with the sophistication in the Chinese consumer and this pride that we've been talking about, there's a pride in having the real thing and not just buying a copycat, right?
Ronnie, what do you think? I mean, the risk is it going to eat away the energy and passion of these, forerunners in starting up their own brands?
I think there are several things that the local brands can do. I think the first things Shui already talked about, right? They build all these WeChat group. It's the brand affiliations with your customers.
Loyalty. Yes.
Exactly. We have in BCG we have this index we call brand advocacy index. It's how many of your customers will recommend the brand to others. And the higher the index, the more sustainable and more successful is the brand. So I think it's very important that you have an active brand community to help you advocate the brand and also protect the brand. I think the second thing is service. I'm sure for furniture and eyewear, service is also very important. People may think Chinese people are not willing to pay for service, but it's no longer the case. So if you have integrated on-time, great services, people are willing to incorporate that into their purchase decisions and value that.
I want to thank the three of you so much for being here with us today. It's really been a pleasure.
Thank
you.
you
For
so much.
You really like this mug, and we like this mug. All right. Well, thank you to our viewers at home for tuning in.
Thank you.
We'll see you next weekend on Crossover. Bye for now.